Greetings, everyone, and welcome to our new show, Seat by the Hearth. I am Lotus Knight. I am one of your hosts, or your host this time. I'm used to have more people with me, but welcome to our brand new show. I am joined by the one and only Myanodon, famous for his hero seasons at Dead Legend, and that one hero season that barely happened at Tap Last. Having played, I don't even know for how many seasons in F2L White and Red, as well as Dead Legend in Legacy as well. He started in Pro in Dr. Boom Shakalaka, went for the or sorry, not for the boys, for the Beard Boys, and then to Popeye's spicy chicken sandwich, where he's been ever since. And this guest is one of the most loyal players to a team I have seen in THL. He's been one of the quintessential THL content people in shows, hosting in Tavern Talk, and just every Sunday night you can check him and Dollar Bills out for some amazing casting. We have Myanodon here tonight. Mayan, how are you?
Hello, hello. I don't know if you could hear that I was pulling up my seat here by the hearth. And oh man, I'm excited. This will be a fun one. I didn't know you were going to give my whole THL history, but bringing back some memories. That was I totally forgot. I think I when I first joined, it was like middle of the season.
Uh huh.
And so I just subbed in for Hero Series for Dad Legend, and then kind of joined up there, joined onto the legacy team as well, and that's where I think had the most fun early on, and then once pro started, did all that stuff. But yeah, I mean you talked about it already. They heard it. Thanks everybody for coming. Uh, yeah, let's get this on. This will be a fun show.
For sure. Our new show, Seat by the Hearth. The idea is to have a little hearth talk. Just get a conversation started about Mayan, about his Hearthstone interests. You're going to get the opportunity to learn about someone who's been, I would say, just a symbol of the THL community for quite a very long time. And I am so grateful for Mayan for being here tonight, and I'm also very grateful to our sub train going on right now. I want to thank Quaz, Geranium Battle, Dabs, and Amphil for their Twitch Prime subs. And a reminder that every sub you give here to THL helps support THL and just make everything possible. Like the tournament going on tonight, like shows like these. This is all because of you. So thank you so much for your support.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you mention Quaz there too? I don't know if you mentioned Quaz as well as the sub train continued.
I,
Uh,
if I have forgotten, I do want to mention Quaz. Super special thank you to Quaz, um, for always being here with us.
Sweet. Yeah. Thanks everybody for coming. All right. What's how we doing this thing, Lotus?
So, shall we start a little chat? I think it would be interesting to start, Mayan, if you could tell me a little bit about yourself. I think we all have heard a bit of your accomplishments in THL and in Hearthstone as a whole, but just tell me a bit about who is Myanodon outside of Hearthstone.
Wow. That's a loaded question, let me tell you. But yeah, I mean, outside of Hearthstone, I've kind of dabbled in many things. I'm a man of many hats, but kind of settled uh into where I am now. That this, I work in advertising.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of found my way there in a weird way. I did pre-med. I really was kind of on that track for a while. Went to medical school for a couple of years. Realized that what it wasn't for me. Didn't want to be a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of dabbled in many different things during that part of that time. I think was when I got into sort of shoutcasting and doing broadcasting stuff, as well as some
Mm-hmm.
other things that have remained hobbies since then. And yeah, I kind of found myself into advertising and in pharma, using my medical degree in some ways. My current role is as a medical director for this agency, and essentially what that means is, if you're seeing all those pharma ads online and on TV, whatever, I'm helping to put those out. So I know everyone loves to watch those. But but in all seriousness, I think they help a lot of people that that need those medications to learn what kind of stuff they can use and what could benefit them. And that's really what I do is help oversee that what we're talking about is would be important for these patients, what value the medicine gives to them, and um, yeah, I'm I'm not the one that tells them to hold their temple in pain. But if, let's say, your drug is for something that causes head pain, I might suggest for that commercial or whatever piece that we might get a woman to do that. I'm not the one that tells her, though. Unfortunately, I'm not usually there the day of shooting
Aw,
as the medical person. They kind of just make sure that I oversee and make sure that everything's accurate, that we're saying the right things, and that we're focusing on what the patients need. So, but yeah,
that's
I could be very well that guy that tells someone to tell the lady to put hold her temple in pain.
awesome. So bringing us a bit into Hearthstone and taking that into account, um, you said you're a man of many tastes. You've done many things here. What brought you to Hearthstone? And you've been playing for a while. What has made you stay all this time?
Yeah. So what brought me to Hearthstone initially, I think, was early on. I was playing some League of Legends, some other games, and a lot of people were playing Hearthstone when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
During their streams between the high level players that are waiting in long queue times, they would play Hearthstone between their games of League, and then I sort of started watching that. Uh, really got into it for a bit, but never really played. I was really just a Hearthstone watcher for the first, for beta, and then for that first like season or two, and then
Mm-hmm.
it was right around the time that Nax was gonna come out that I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna try this out. Started off slow as a free to play player for quite a while. And then, eventually I gave in and gave the Blizzard gods my money. Uh, and now not so much a free to play player.
No.
But it's maybe that trajectory they're hoping for with players. But anyway, I've had a lot of fun over the years. Definitely
Mhm.
early on, I was kind of just playing to have fun. Eventually, that turned into goals. Every time I'd have a new goal, eventually was like legend. And back in the day, we didn't have the same tier system, but
Oh yeah.
legend was still that goal.
Mhm.
And once I hit legend, that's when I started kind of taking it a little bit more seriously, going, trying to be a little bit more competitive. Got to a pretty high level. I felt like I was pretty good. Competing with some of the best.
Yeah.
Participated in HCT Philly. That was the last in-person event. Unfortunately, I was like my first in-person event of
Mhm.
Hearthstone. That was like a big event, and then it was the last one that they pretty much had before everything went crazy. And the whole system
Yeah.
changed and all that. But I had such a blast there, and got to meet some of the casters. There, Frodan, Admirable, and also all the players that were out there. Um, and that sort of got me in the direction of maybe doing a little bit more than just competing. Like, I started doing the qualifiers when that started. Had some success early on, but really just didn't have the time to invest.
Yeah.
Had started working more full time, and so that made it a little bit more challenging. But I still had that feel of I like the competition. I like seeing high level play. I liked I kind of transferred that original Twitch viewing, I guess, to broadcasting and shoutcasting. And
Mhm.
still like to compete at a high level. Obviously, I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm talking about when I'm casting, and I
For
also
sure.
enjoy to play. But really, to be honest, what's kept me in it, A, is the broadcasting, and B, is this community and the communities like it that I've been in. But really, THL. Uh, every season, it's like sometimes I'll have lulls where I'm not as happy with the meta and not really playing
Oh,
as
for
much,
sure.
and it really does keep me coming back. Helping my teams. As you
Mhm.
said, I've been a pretty loyal teammate. Whenever I can stay on a team, I usually like to do that. I make good connections with the people I play with. I was on Dad
You
Legend
have.
for a very long time, and then really only switched when we had some PR issues. And since then, all the people I played with on Dad Legend haven't been playing as much on Dad Legend recently. But maybe
Fair.
we'll make a comeback sometime soon. Who knows? But in the meantime, been enjoying. Have good friends on FTL, F2L as well. Um, and then the pro teams are really just it's just been me and Zabe, and then whoever else we want to join us for that season or who wants to play, and that's been going pretty well. We haven't won any
Yeah.
seasons, but I think we're pretty competitive most seasons, and that's been fun.
I mean, I can tell you, we of Brushy Tuna do consider you all to be our biggest rivals because we face you every. It's like every time in the finals
I
or
know.
quarterfinals or something, we're facing each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I think our record against you isn't great in those situations, but we still have fun. Uh,
You knocked us out the first time. I can say that
Maybe, yeah,
much.
yeah. When we were at our peak, maybe we could do it. But we'll get there. We'll get there again, I'm sure.
We have a question here from Geranium in the
Sure.
sense that he asked, what drove you to improve at the competitive level? Do you think it was your legend rank, your tournament standings, just getting some wins over some people? I think that's actually been a really big factor for me whenever I win against someone who I think is much better than I am, and it feels so good, and I just want that feeling more and more.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a situation like that. I can remember a specific moment that for me was like, wait a second, maybe I can do this. I was always having fun at like local tournaments. Sometimes I'd win,
Yeah,
50, $100 or whatever, like some prize in the local Philly tournaments. And got to compete against some good players. We had like a nice fun one that happened actually after HCT Philly that was in person that I'll talk about. But really, HCT Philly I think was the one that brought me in. I got to meet all these players that I've been seeing,
yeah,
and even on ladder or just online, on Twitch, whatever.
for
And
sure.
my very first match, I was like I felt so unlucky Uh, my very first match in ATG Philly, I was paired up against Luna Love,
Oh,
and I was terrified. I think I
yeah.
brought like as my first match in like a really competitive environment. I'm against one of the best players in the world still to this day. So
Yeah?
yeah, and you know what? I got the sweep, and that made me feel absolutely incredible.
Nice.
Still chasing that high since then. I don't think I've swept anyone at a level like that since then, at least not in a tournament
Mhm.
like that. But no, it was a lot of fun. Made a lot of friends there. Some local people as well. I think before that, I think it was a local Philly event. I had met Jet Law. If people remember Jet Law, he's been in
Yeah.
the community for a while as well. He comes in and out depending on the seasons. But I met him at like some local fireside in Philly one year, and then we decided let's do HCT Philly. Like we met up, we hung out. I think he crashed at my place during that. Had a lot of fun meeting other people. I met Papa Jason there. Luker, a bunch of other sort of people in the community that I've since kind of gotten to know a little better.
Nice.
And some I can call good friends. Um,
Yeah.
you know, uh, and a lot of us have kind of either progressed it, one way or the other. Jason ended up um, becoming a GM for a while
Yes.
after that. um, Yeah, who else did I get to know? Yeah, but anyway, there's a lot of people that I kind of it was really the people in the community that kept me in it. And then competing against those people, a tournament later on, I played against Jason. That was one of the most fun matches I've had. It was like in the semifinals of some other other tournament. It wasn't a huge one, but we both showed up, and just to have fun. And I remember
Nice.
him telling me, I think he was either gonna be GM or I don't think he was GM yet at the time, but he was definitely, competing at a very high level. And, he was telling me how it was one of the most nerve-wracking matches he's had just because we were good friends and like we knew each other and it was, on this high stakes, even though, he's played players that are way better than me. Um,
Fair.
but
That's
yeah, that
awesome.
was definitely one of those experiences that drove me to be more competitive. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely learning from casting as well. And there's always the little goals. When I play games, I always find goals for me, to accomplish, whether they be big or small. Sometimes it's just something to do. Like right now, as long as I've been playing, believe it or not, I still don't have all my 1K hero portraits.
Wow.
And so that's the current goal is finishing those up. They're all very close. Besides
Nice.
Demon Hunter's just
Yeah.
at like the 500 mark, but we'll get that one up
Eh,
there
we don't
soon too.
count.
Yeah, yeah,
So speaking of Demon Hunter and different classes,
yeah.
whenever we play Hearthstone, I feel like we're all looking for different experiences, different decks. Just we want matches that feel in certain ways. Some people prefer aggro, some people prefer control, some people like combo. There's really everything. And I wanted to ask you, what do you look for when you're trying to figure out if you want to play a deck? What's kind of the Mayan thing that hits it?
That's tough. I think any given day that could change. I will say I'm definitely more of like the control or tempo-y sort of play style than
Mm-hmm.
I am the aggro play style. But sometimes I'm really feeling it almost is based on the deck itself. If I've seen something for a while, we've seen it a lot. I sometimes get bored of that, and
Yeah,
sometimes I want to turn my brain off and play like Quest Warrior, where you just kind of curve out, and sometimes that's what I need for the day. And then there's days where I really want to challenge myself and try something, skill testing, something a little bit more difficult.
for sure.
Um, so yeah, I would say it varies. Although I would probably lean more the tempo control-y sort of side of things over the aggro. But I do enjoy some good aggro these days. I think early on I really I, I I don't know. Maybe it was just a pride or an ego thing when I was younger, early in the game. I was like, I don't want to play aggro decks. They're
Yeah.
easy, brainless, and that's not true. First of all,
No.
but second of all, yeah, I just I had this view. I think it was like early days was like the aggro decks were like Death Rattle Hunter, like Face Hunter, the early Death Rattle Face Hunters
Mm-hmm.
with like from Nax. Like I remember that, and I was like, that was fun, but I kind of got bored of that one pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I think since then, kind of have learned to enjoy a little bit of aggro here and there. It's more so.
Nice. I think at least for me, I've noticed that I used to think as well aggro's just smack them in the face and win because I mostly didn't know how to play against it. And
Yeah.
nowadays I feel like aggro is actually non-trivial. There are some very easy to play aggro decks, but it's not true in general that aggro is easier. um,
Yeah, and I think it's also the short game times when you play aggro properly that people think, there's less decisions, so they think it's easier, but sometimes those decisions can be very crucial and it's
yeah,
not always so simply laid out what, you have to do. It's not like you just curve out or, you just do whatever your hand says. There's definitely choices and things that make a big difference in those games.
for sure. Um, so I'll move on a bit towards more of a casting direction because I know that's very
Yeah.
important for you. We all know casting, as you said, has been just a major part of what you do with Hearthstone. I wanted to ask you, what do you really like about casting?
I guess it's one of those things where in my life, I don't have as much time as I'd like to devote to Hearthstone.
Yeah,
So I'm not seeing everything I could possibly see. I've not obviously not every even if you're playing constantly, you're not going to see every variation of every sort of situation. But I think for me, it's getting to see, especially when I've casted some of the higher level things, seeing really really talented players. I learn a lot from it too. Besides just, enjoying the gameplay and enjoying kind of really intelligent kind of lines and decisions people make and seeing that thought process and, at
yeah.
times, you'll cast people, maybe you critique something and, seeing different lines as well. Just because it's such a, complex game, there's all these different routes you can choose and, seeing how other people think about it and play the game not only helps me improve, but it's just fun to see.
hmm Would you say, in the sense that you had one casting experience that for you has been kind of fascinating?
A casting experience that's been fascinating. I did this one. Yeah, I don't know why this is the one I'm talking about, but there's plenty of really cool casting experiences I've had. But one that was really interesting to me was actually oh man, I'm gonna feel so bad. Oh, I gotta remember the name. It's gonna bug me before I butcher this. Jester, in
Yeah,
the THL community, had this. I don't really know how the video did, but had asked me and Ron to, uh, do shoutcasting for essentially like new players playing
sure.
decks that they really, decks that they had made that are pretty like bronze players or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever equivalent you want to call it. And that was so interesting to see because and it was an interesting experience in that like usually when we're casting um we're talking about the plays and you're talking about the thought process of these players that have seen so much. They know kind of what the meta is, they know what to expect on the other side. When they're playing into a deck, they know what deck they should expect and what type of matchups, what they have to do in each matchup, and there's a lot more thought process into sort of knowns.
Yeah.
Whereas when we were casting those players that you're seeing the thought process of newer players kind of learning as they go. Almost, it was kind of like from the first game to the last game you could see that certain things were kind of clicking, like, oh, I did this last time, maybe that wasn't as smart, maybe I could have done this or that, and that was also really a unique experience. That was really interesting.
Huh.
um, I don't know if that's my, the highlight of my casting experience per se, but that was a unique sort of interesting casting experience that was very different from something I'd ever done before.
That sounds fascinating. I honestly really enjoy when I get to cast a weird format.
Yeah.
Like things like Nas are fascinating to cast because you have to throw everything you know out of the window and just
Hmm. Just
basically,
ride it.
yeah, just
Just
figure
ride
it
the
out.
wave.
So I thought we would do a little mini game to give us
Yeah.
some interesting fun time and an interesting discussion here. And for our mini game tonight, I want to ask you, Mayan, not all decks are made equal.
Mm.
And especially for casting, I wanted you to give us a top 5 lists of decks to cast. And I mean all times, whatever you mean by all times is fair. But what are your 5 favorite decks to cast?
Wow. That's an interesting one. I did think about, you sent this to me ahead of time, and I did think about this a little bit, but it was hard for me to come up with because thinking back, like a lot of the I don't know, I only started casting, I don't know what meta would we say that was. If I started, I feel like I didn't do too much casting till after HCT Philly. I don't know if I had done any before. So that meta, what did I play? I played like, was that Rastakhan or was that Boomsday? I
Was
feel like I
that?
played. I remember playing. I had that Death Rattle Hunter that had the Devil Swords and King
Oh, that
Crush.
was yeah, that was Rastakhan.
Yeah, so I think that was that meta, and spawning from that meta, I think there was Q Block was still around. I really always enjoyed Q Block as a deck to play, so I think that was an early one that I enjoyed casting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, What else? It's interesting. Some days I'll tell you the math ones, the one where you're constantly counting lethals every single turn are
Yep.
fun and interesting because I will miss lethals. I'll spot lethals that aren't there. It's always fun, fun experience as a caster,
Mm-hmm.
challenging yourself that way. And thinking about the game a little bit differently. You're not always counting with every single deck like that. It's good practice to always check, but still, what else was around? Raza Priest was also an interesting one. There was that priest that I feel like you. Oh man, I forget what it's called.
Was it Burn Priest?
It was the burn priest that like you pulled the Velen, you pulled. Oh man, I forget.
Oh, it
It
was
was the
the
you
cloning
like
gallery.
The cloning gallery priest, yeah, that one was
Yeah.
was a lot of fun as well. Just trying to spot lethals. Like, is it lethal? You have to count every card in the deck. Which is what's going to get pulled here? Which one? How much damage do we have? Those are always fun. Um,
Yeah.
Anything that's wild and wacky can be fun. Like big spell mage. Those were fun. Just seeing
Mm-hmm.
what the heck is going to come out of these boxes. Um,
Yeah.
Early on, Yogg, those things were fun. After a while, you see the same thing. It always, can get stale if you're seeing the same thing win every time or kind of 50-50 a game like Yogg. But um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I say types of decks like that I've really enjoyed casting. Things that, are trickier for us, for players and for casters to kind of decide what the lines are because those are the ones that really you get to talk about things. Especially with Hearthstone. It's not like most other shoutcasting, in that, like, you're casting a match like League of Legends, CS:GO, whatever. There's constantly action happening on the screen, right?
Yes.
There's constantly something to watch and talk about, and there are downs where you're not going to say, oh, this champion's CSing, or this, they're doing this or whatever. So there isn't always that play by play, but
Yeah.
it's way more of I think, a prominent, like, you got to talk fast, you got to say everything you're seeing, say the important
Yeah.
things, kind of do all this quick, discussion. And Hearthstone, there are players that are very quick, and sometimes you don't have as much time to talk about things, but it's a lot more casual, it's a lot more laid back.
Yes.
You're having discussions with your co-caster. You're thinking about different decision points. There's a lot more time to think and see, what's the player going to do to kind of discuss what kind of answer they might have. And that's the part that for me is really enjoyable about Hearthstone. And I enjoy, I've done shoutcasting for some other things, but I always come back to Hearthstone. It's the one I feel the most comfortable with, and the most fun with. You can it's like hanging out with your friends and just talking about stuff,
Yeah,
that you enjoy.
for sure. I feel like when you were saying this, I was just thinking of the experience for me of the deck that I feel like was. It isn't around anymore, but I really enjoyed casting Cyclone Mage because there was so much you could
Yes,
do
yeah.
with that
Oh,
one.
Cyclone Mage was a lot of fun too. That was also a lot of fun to play. I think I
Yes.
had Cyclone Mage in that tournament against Jason, and that was, I think there was like Cyclone Mage, there was I think there might have been a Beast Druid then as well, a version of Beast Druid that was popular. Or no, maybe it was Token Druid. It was like a Treant Token Druid, I think.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I mean that kind of deck gave me, with the Cyclones, a lot of
Yeah.
times you're banking on finding a freeze. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Naga in some ways. You're building these boards, you're doing crazy random things. All
Yes.
the Naga Mage in some ways, but like a hybrid of that with maybe like a I don't know, like almost I guess a hybrid of that and Burn Shaman almost. It was like
Yes.
kind of like a weird mix of the two. I don't know, but yeah, I definitely enjoyed those decks as well.
Mhm. So a quick question from Geranium before we move into our
Yeah.
next question. Would you ever cast a wild match?
Yeah, I would be down. You know, I wonder if people would be interested in me casting a wild match at my current level, or if it's something that people would want me to be. I always worry about casting something I'm not as
Yeah.
versed in. There was a period of time that I did play a good amount of wild when I really was not happy with standard. There
Yeah.
was a period that I was pushing wild legend. I still wouldn't say that I was like that good. But good enough, I guess, to be pushing to wild legend, the when I actually wanted to. Um, and yeah, I definitely would. I guess the question is, would people want me to know what I'm talking about, or would people want me to be the blumbering idiot next to someone that knows what they're talking about and being wowed by every weird play that like everyone's expected at
Yeah.
this point? I don't know if people want that, if people want me to kind of be there and be like, whoa, you can do that still? That's crazy. I forgot about this card. Then I'd be happy to. Or if people want me to do it more like my standard Hearthstone casting, where a little bit, I know a little bit more and can talk about the game a bit more and decisions, then I'd want to get a little bit of gameplay, under my belt, at least for the current meta before I can
Yeah.
do that. But yeah, I don't know. If people ask for it, I'll do it.
Nice. Now, let's move on from casting to one of our final topics of the night. You've been a part of THL in a ton of ways. You've been a champion in Legacy, a mainstay in most THL shows, and a crazy caster. What brought you to so many different types of involvements? You've mentioned so much about the community, so I think it's a good time for us to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if there was any one thing. It kind of sort of came from just an interest in trying something. I think early on, I did like my first casting was with maybe Slimsh. I think Saku was
Mm-hmm.
an op back then as well, and just had a lot of fun. And then
Yeah,
from there, it kind of became like, hey, I want to be more involved in the content here as well. I want to help. If people want to hear me talk, want us to talk about these things. I was happy to do it. And then, like you said, I did the Tavern Talk for a few seasons, was like the showrunner for that, and I hope people enjoyed that. It was definitely a lot of fun. Just it took a good amount of time to set those up, and
it
eventually
was
kind of
great.
became a lot for me. So yeah, I would say it was kind of a I just wanted to try new things. I liked the community. I liked Hearthstone enough that I wanted to be more involved, and it was always like I said, at HCT Philly I met Froda and Admirable. I really connected with them. I enjoyed seeing what they did, and it seemed like such a cool gig. I said I'm a man of many hats. There's a lot of things I've sort of
Yeah,
dabbled in, have remained hobbies, and sort of that was one of the directions I wanted to go and see kind of where it took me, and uh, you know
for sure.
just have fun along the way.
For sure. Now, I do want to ask you a final question for the night, so we don't end our show too late. My question for you is Hearthstone, this game we all play, we all enjoy. If you could change it in one kind of core way to make it more enjoyable, to enhance one of these things you said you liked, be it the community, be it aggro, be it casting, what would you actually change it?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, the meme answer is delete priest, right? That's like the meme answer.
Yeah.
But the real answer, oh man, Geranium beat me to it. Yeah, it's 100% tournament mode. Like as a caster, that would make our lives so much easier.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I mean, as organizers for any event, but B, just for ease of like, why is it not? It was this core function for such a long time, and I still think a really important factor for Hearthstone is the competitive scene, and to just not have the ability to kind of build that community, wherever you want and be able to do it easily. I think they lost a lot of potential just by not having it for all these years, and
Yeah.
I think it still would be an incredible thing to do. You know, it's coming, soon, TM for Blizzard, but
Yeah.
uh, you know, we'll see when that will be. I hope I'm still around when it does happen. I hope Hearthstone's, survives and they'll actually make those improvements. It seems like they do care. Yeah, good prediction, Tranium. But yeah, it seems like they are caring about what the community wants, what the community enjoys, and are responding to it. And I think they're moving in the right direction. I know there's been so much weirdness in the community of late. Is a one way of putting it anyway. But I'm
Hmm.
hoping that we come out of this a lot stronger, better, and uh, I hope to keep doing this for quite a while. So I hope you guys enjoy listening to me do it and being part of it.
I can tell you above, I don't know if above anyone else, but I can tell you, I really do enjoy listening to you talking about Hearthstone, casting. It's always a great time. And I want to take this opportunity to thank you for joining me tonight and to thank you for everything you do for the THL community, everything you've done, all the shows you've put. Um, just a super thank you for being this great presence, Mayan.
Hey, it's my pleasure. It really is. And I hope for whoever watched this, if you enjoyed it, you're always welcome to reach out to me if you have questions. I'm an open book most of the time. Maybe don't ask me for my social and my credit card number, but other than that, feel free to reach out. I'm here. If you want to try your luck at casting, you want to jump on a something with
For
me
sure.
or something. I'm happy to do it. Always fun to do, and yeah, please
Nice.
reach out for sure.
Awesome. I believe that is it for us tonight. I want to thank you all for sitting here by the hearth with me and my Anodon. I will be back tomorrow for our weekly episode of Hearth Center. And See by the Hearth, depending on viewer feedback, might be back in a few weeks. We'll see what happens. I hope y'all enjoy this pilot. This was a lot of fun for me to do. And one more time, I want to thank Mayan and thank all our viewers. Hope you all had a good time, and we will see you all later.
Yeah, thanks everybody. It was an honor to be your first official guest on the show. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. I know I'll be tuning in and listening to all the other awesome people we have in this community that I'm sure you're going to get on here soon.
For sure. I have a few ideas. We'll see how things go. I'll keep it a secret for now.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
Have a good one, everyone.
Take care.